So good day everyone. I'll be discussing the Custom Memorandum Order number 3, 2022, which provides the guidelines for establishment, operation, and control of CBWs. And for today's discussion, I'll be focusing on Section 2, Administrative Provision, Section 10 to 12, the specific document use and purposes, and Section 18, Supervision and Closure of Customs Banded warehouse, and its penalties, violation, and compliance. So let's first discuss the Section 2, Administrative Provision. So transfers to CBWs. Firstly, transfers to CBWs. So all goods transferred to a customs banded warehouse must go through non-intrusive inspection at the port. And the district collector allows the transfer unless the shipment kay under siya sa alert order. So, the storage time period time depends sa kind of goods. Some regular goods can stay for a maximum of 1 year, while perishable goods are allowed only for 3 months, extendable to another 3 months. And for common customs banded warehouses or CCBWs, counting starts from arrival niya at the mother warehouse. So, allowable importation. Only raw materials are allowed to be imported sa CBW based on the approved of HS tariff lines, authorized quantity, and for industry-specific CBWs. Imports are only for their approved client and end users. So, finished goods. Importation sa finished goods is not allowed unless these are used as components siya for export production and with the proper approval from the CBW committee. So, restricted or regulated goods. For restricted or regulated items, clearance from government agency is required. If these goods are imported without clearance, they are subject to seizure and forfeiture of goods. Withdrawals for local sales. So, withdrawals for local sale are allowed only if district collector approves any duties and taxes are paid and the quantity is limited to 30% of banded raw materials. So, this rule does not apply sa public CBWs. Subcontracting is allowed if the CBW lacks facilities or time to finish production. But this must be approved and only accredited subcontractors may kanang handle it. And all materials, finished goods, and wastage must be accounted for by customs. ICW prohibition. For industry-specific CBWs, they are not allowed to import kanang fibers, yarns, fabrics, and accessories for garments. So let's move on to provisions specific to common customs banded warehouses or CCBWs. Accreditation. Each exporter can only be accredited to one CCBW, known as the mother warehouse. So, records and security. So, all books, documents, and important goods must be secured and made available for customs inspection. And access. So, kinsa may maka-access ani. So, customs officers can inspect the CCBW anytime as long as na sila mission order. So, transfers. So, all transfers must pass through the CCBW operator unless ang customs authority kay i-approve niya ni. Otherwise, ganyan. Operator responsibility. So, the CCBW operator is directly responsible for the liquidation of the imports made by its members. So, if a member fails to liquidate, the operator remains accountable. Inactive members. So, members with no import or export activity for 1 year will have their accreditation automatically terminated. Storage rule ani, transfers between members cannot extend the storage period. The counting continues from the original date of arrival. So let's move on to sales or transfers. Sales or transfers are allowed only within the same CCBW and require collector approval. Semi, finished, or finished products. So, this may be transferred tax-free as long as kanang ginayos sila for further export production. And finally, both sa CCBW operator and the member are jointly responsible for liquidation and compliance with all customs rules. And to conclude, so that's all. And to conclude, this section 2 or the administrative provision of CM203 2022 clearly sets the foundation for how customs bonded warehouses should operate. It emphasizes proper accreditation, accountability, and compliance, ensuring that only qualified operators and importers are allowed to participate in the CBW system. So, by implementing these administrative rules, the Bureau of Customs aims to promote transparency, to prevent smuggling, and to make sure that all banded goods are properly monitored and used for their intended export purposes. So, in short, Section 2 serves as the backbone sa CM203 2022 kay ginamaintain niyang order, control, and efficiency sa entire CBW operation. So let's move on to Section 10 to 12. So let's start with the Section 10, Transfer of Bonded Goods. This section explains the documents required when transferring bonded goods between customs bonded warehouses or sa free zone. So the first document is the Transit Single Administrative Document or TSAD. It is used when bonded goods are transferred from one CBW to another or to free zones. Its purpose is to serve as the official record of transfer and ensure that the goods remain under the custom bond during the movement. So next we have the transfer note, or also called as the boat note, which is specifically for LCL cargoes or loose cargo. The purpose of this document is to accompany the loose cargo during sa transfer, and it is monitored by customs guard to ensure security. And lastly, the delivery receipt. This is required in some cases. It serves as an acknowledgement sa goods na gi-receive at the receiving CBW or free zone. In short, this section ensures that every movement of bonded goods is properly documented and tracked by customs. Now, let's proceed to Section 11, Withdrawal of Bonded Goods for Consumption. This section focuses on the release of goods from the warehouse to the domestic market. The first document na used is the Warehousing Single Administrative Document or WSAD. This is the original import entry, and it must be liquidated once the banded goods are withdrawn for local consumption. The second is the consumption entry or CE-SAD. Purpose ani is to serve as the declaration to pay duties and taxes when the banded goods are released into the local market. The next documents are the invoice and packing list. These show the commercial details sa shipment, including the value, quantity, and packaging of the goods. And lastly, regulatory permits or clearances, which are required when the goods need approval sa government agencies such as FDA or DNR. Their purpose is to ensure compliance with the national regulations before goods are officially released sa market. In short, Section 11 makes sure that all withdrawals for local sale are legal, documented, and fully taxed. So for the last part, we have Section 12, Direct Exportation of Bonded Goods. This section lists the documents needed when bonded goods are directly exported from the warehouse. First is the Certificate of Inspection or CI. It's issued after customs examines the goods and certifies that they're ready for export. Next is the Export Declaration, Single Administrative Document or EDSAD. This is the main export document lodged in the E2M system for clearance. Then we have the invoice, which shows the value and description of the goods being exported, and the packing list, which details the quantity, weight, and packaging. Fifth, the export commodity clearance, a license or permit, which is required for regulated exports to ensure compliance with specific agencies. Next is the Certificate of Inspection and Loading, or CIL. Canning document serves as proof that the goods were actually loaded for export and is needed to liquidate the warehousing single administrative document, or WSAD. If the port of loading is located sa different customs district, the transit SAD or TSAD is used to record the bonded transfer from the warehouse's port to the export port. So in summary, sa Section 12 ensures that all exports from the bonded warehouse are properly documented and cleared before leaving the country. So final wrap up, or to summarize everything, Section 10 covers the transfer of bonded goods and ensures they remain under ban. Ang Section 11 naman focuses on withdrawals for consumption, making sure duties and taxes are paid. And Section 12 deals with direct exportation, ensuring all goods are properly inspected and documented before export. So all these sections are designed to promote transparency, accountability, and control sa customs bonded warehouse operations. And that ends my part of the report sa section 10 to 12. Now let's move on to section 18, suspension and closure of customs bonded warehouse, or CBW. So this section explains the conditions and procedures for suspending or closing a bonded warehouse if the operator violates rules or fails to comply with requirements. So, a customs bonded warehouse can be suspended or closed for several reasons. Some of the main causes include failure to renew registration or submitting false information during renewal, being inactive for more than 1 year, making unauthorized changes in the warehouse layout, legal withdrawal of goods, or using the warehouse for illegal activities. So those are such reasons why customs bonded warehouses closure or be suspended. So if any of these violations occur, the district collector will issue a closure order. So after this, the warehouse will be sealed and guarded by customs, and tanan records and documents must be surrendered sa authorities. So a full inventory of all goods inside the warehouse will then be conducted. These goods will be placed under customs custody unless the duties and taxes are paid by the operator. Also, the warehouse operator shoulders tanan expenses related sa closure and must still pay the required fees. And take note, already paid fees are not refundable. So the most important part of this section is this: closure does not erase responsibility. Even after suspension or closure, the warehouse operator is still liable for all accountabilities, duties, taxes, and penalties. So in short, they cannot escape their obligations just because the warehouse is closed. So to summarize, Section 18, this ensures accountability even after closure. It protects the government's interest, prevent abuse, and remind operators that running a abandoned warehouse is a privilege, one that comes with strict compliance and continuous responsibility. And that ends my discussion on Section 18, suspension and closure of CBW. Thank you.